Okay. Welcome to our February 1st NatickFOSS meeting online virtually using Jitsi Meet as our regular session these days while we avoid coughing on each other and the pandemic scares us to avoid those choices. In any case, we are glad to see those who are participating and those who are joining us by the YouTube recording that is currently being broadcast live. Hello to you. I see no need to do the stated. Good. Thank you very much for that note. The presentation that is for newcomers typically is only done if we have newcomers who are in the participation group, because we don't know who's watching out there not live with us. Do click that link, however, that's in the agenda on the shared screen. If you open that window, go to our NatickFOSS website, natickfoss.org. You will get to our agenda page, and you find all those links are live. That's correct. The upcoming meeting is today's until tomorrow, and then it will become March. Okay, let me direct your attention to the shared screen. You may want to make that your focus, as I will now. The FOSS news we probably can go through fairly quickly. Best distro for beginners lists several, and Bill Ricker had a comment about which one is now called best for newbies. Bill, you want to mention that?
Well, actually, that I was addressing that to whichever of our usual suspects was planning on talking about the Debian spin of Mint.
Aha. I think that is...
since that contrasts Linux Mint, Ubuntu, Chrome OS, and two that I'd never heard of. That's under Hot Software and Bob, it says.
That's correct. So we'll defer to that and bring that subject back in at that point. For those who are interested in maintaining old things in a new way, Doom is a game that was popular on Windows, as I recall, and has been officially released by its creators as an open source GPL licensed source code. So if you have game assets, you can build the engine and play those assets. And I wondered in my comment about it on our group email if Dennis might be interested in at some point in talking to us about it. Maybe.
That was one of those things of I still haven't gotten around to looking at it, but I thought the Doom was already GPL.
It was unofficial according to this link. If I go to it here, we'll take a quick peek. This is the announcement of it. And at long last, it's officially released for your nonprofit use. You can't make money off it, I guess. And he mentions somewhere in here that it was unofficial elsewhere.
There
Yeah.
are a whole bunch of projects that have used Doom or other engines like that. And so I demoed at one point a game using Batman.
Mm-hmm.
You played as Batman. That was actually running using one of the Doom engines. It's an updated version of it, but essentially it's still the same sort of thing. But I have not gotten to looking at this information. If you do want to play Doom, there is free Doom is available on most distributions, I imagine, and it has all open source artwork and levels so that you can play without needing a copy of Doom.
Cool. All right. That was quick. Same thing here with Open Knowledge Grant. There's a group called the Open Knowledge Foundation who is working on an open data editor, and they received a financial grant from an organization that does grant work. And for those interested in open data and how to use it, this is, I guess, something opposite from artificial intelligence scraping. It's nice to know that there are foundations out there that can help with development of open source software. Ubuntu 24.4 long-term support is apparently going to have the new 6 point something kernel instead of the 5.15 chain. Ed, did you have more detail on that?
All right, there we go. Now, the only thing I've been able to find on it right now is that the goal is to get the 6.8 kernel from what I found, but it could change. It could be something else, but right now they said the aim is 6.8.
5.15 is getting pretty old in the tooth, and that's currently what the 2022 version is, the long-term support. For those of us like me who like the LTS versions and don't bother with the October versions of Ubuntu that come every 6 months.
Yeah, right now they've got four. The Linux Foundation has four long-term support. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. They've got 5 right now that's they're still working on. 5.4. The projected end of life is December of 25. 5.10, 0.15, 6.1, and 6.6 are showing an end of life of December of 2026, and the 4.19 has an end of life of this coming December.
All right. Thunderbird has a new team running the main development, and it turns out that they have not up to this point had a desktop development update process, meaning reporting out to the community how their work is going. And this announcement through the Thunderbird blog tells about that beginning January, just a couple of days ago. And this writer is kicking off the new monthly Thunderbird development recap. Reading this would be good for you if you are a Thunderbird user and or someone who wants to find out if it's worth switching to. Several of us in this group do actually use it. Linux Experiment is a weekly Linux news video from a fellow whose name is Nick, and this is the most recent. The only reason it's here is to point out that there are other ways to get Linux information besides this from our group. We all have our own focus, and his is a quick 15-minute or less presentation about the current information that he's interested in, just as we are talking about things that interest us generally. And this last item from the FOSS news is that the I Love Free Software Day 2024 is coming up on the 14th. We mentioned it last month, and a couple of people mentioned they were interested. And perhaps later in the meeting, we can discuss what we want to do with it. I just put it up here to get it not overlooked. Anybody else have news that we ought to mention before moving on to some of the demos and this little FOSS history? Okay, I don't hear anybody at the moment, but chime in. Yes.
Dick Miller, I do have some news. Excuse me, I came in late and some of this may have been covered or laid out to be covered. Jill says no. I've been up late looking for clues on some of this and it's half baked. But first of all, there's really big alarming news in a few places, but not the places I'd expect it. So I'm not sure if it's news or a really good spoof that's news, but apparently a little over a week ago, it was discovered that 26 billion reports had been leaked, messages had been leaked, including some very high security ones, but that basically they suspect half of everyone on the internet has had their passwords, email, places they visited, things they like, all compromised. That's so major, I thought I'd find it in all the places I normally go. I haven't. And just half an hour ago, I traced it to what appears to be the source of the information. It had an update a couple of days ago, but it's 10 days old, I believe, for the original one, something like that. And I still don't know what to make of it. Found no comment on Snopes, which often has a comment within a day or two on much lesser topics. And places like Wired, Ars Technica, I haven't found it yet. I think it's big news either way. Everyone's panicking over it. It's the corners that heard it already, and there aren't as many as you think, but it has gotten onto Yahoo and a few other large distributions. As far as I can tell, they're only echoing the article I can now send along to post. So that's one. Second one, quite independent of it, is President Biden's White House has released one of many going into the new year messages about what's been done and what will be done. And damned if it isn't on an open source initiative. Bunch of money involved. They're working with the private companies and the open source community to strengthen open source packages against just this sort of problem, including an immediate concern for the ones that almost everybody relies upon, open source or not. After all, it's running most of the servers in the world. So they're looking at the same problem from the other end, I guess, on the leaks, and are talking to the open source community about it. And one of the statements I did catch in the first brief hint of what it's about is they're saying there's nothing that's less secure about open source, but it's open to some kinds of trouble that they want to help stop. Everybody depends upon it. Interesting article. I think it came out well for open source. And I gather that there's some money that's going to be expended to make some things a little more bulletproof. I hope I'm right. Another one says, great new disastrous hole affecting all the major Linux favorites. Definitely Fedora, definitely Ubuntu, definitely Debian. And I'll get that one up to you also. I haven't started reading it yet. Just read a little summary intro to it. That might be where I stop for now. That seemed like a hell of a lot from where I was sitting. And it's all happening now.
That's how Linux news is, and the open source world just keeps on moving. I am clicking the wrong place. All right. Tilde as the Linux home is our FOSS history note for the month. And I'm sure those who use the command line as a part of their normal routine know what this is about. But if you don't use the command line, you might find it interesting to note that the tilde was a key on one of the early terminal boxes. And here's an image of that box. And that keyboard on that machine had a tilde as the home mark. So pressing that key was your home. And in history, that leaves us with using that every time we run a terminal emulator. There it is. Okay, now Hot Software gives us a group of demos. There are 3 that I know about. How Bob is using Linux Mint with the Debian edition. Bill Ricker has picture-in-picture using Chromium and Jitsi Meet. And Dick Miller has a demo of making custom wallpaper with FOSS tools. They're in this order, but do we have a person who wants to volunteer to be first?
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Before I go, Bill Ricker had this article about best distros for beginners, and it ties in with what I'm about to do.
Okay. So, Bill, I guess you're on for talking about that best distro for beginners.
Well, why don't you go ahead and click on it?
There you go.
And then scroll down a little. So they
These
not
are
quite
the
that far. Those are the 5. Those aren't ads. And so these people publishing through ZDNet, an old known PC publisher, who used to be rather Linux hostile, and they've woken up, rated Linux Mint best overall for beginners, Ubuntu easy to use, and Chrome OS for those with headaches. I haven't even looked at Zorin or MX. I don't know what they are. But Zorin is apparently more Windows compatible, and MX is lightweight for your older hardware. And so the topic of Mint is nicely introduced by this saying, hey, it's best. It's even better than Ubuntu sometimes. So you can now browser back.
Okay.
Yeah.
The rest of the article is, of course, explaining these choices in greater detail. So we recommend anybody who has interest go check out the full article. All right.
Okay. I will
Which is
need to
why we
do a
provide
screen.
links.
Yeah, that's why we provide links. I heard that. If I'm not interrupting, it might be about time to seg from Mint being declared best for beginners to seeing what at least one version of Mint will look like. And the standard Mint is based on Ubuntu, and it has Ubuntu components in it. And it, however, has an interface which is the Cinnamon desktop. Many of us in this group use the Unity desktop as Ubuntu Unity, and that's a very nice desktop, very smooth. It's got the launcher bar at the left-hand side, which is very nice. And I'm sure that many people will prefer it. I will be showing one reason why I'm not too thrilled with possible directions that Ubuntu might be going, and why I'm not too thrilled with some things that definitely have happened. But what I want to do is I switch over to my screen share at this point.
I'll unshare then and let you take over.
Yes, I'll just be trying to share my desktop without getting kicked out of the meeting. And here is share desktop. And I will try to minimize the browser. Let me know. Can you hear me now still?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm still in the meeting. This is Linux Mint. I happen to use Linux Mint Debian Edition, LMDE, instead of the Linux Mint that has Ubuntu dependencies and components. And you can set up desktop icons here. It's been said to be a rather Mac-like desktop, but it's also kind of like in Windows 10 and 11, where you have this button, which is a Linux Mint button in our case, and you can see the various activities. It's not like the start menu in Windows. It's very much very much a different thing. And there are some frequently used applications which I've pinned over here, or they got pinned for me. This will be my files. It happens to be, I believe, the same Nemo that is used in Ubuntu Unity. So it'd be a very familiar file explorer for anyone who wants to make the transition. What I have found, however, is that in the Debian version, you don't have some of the multimedia codecs and components. And this has been a real headache for me. I even had to compile something from source to bring it in, because also Debian is a very conservative distro. It does not allow PPAs, whereas Ubuntu does allow them. That's a major disadvantage for Debian, but it will never have certain things about Ubuntu, which I'll get into shortly. So anyway, there's also a taskbar across the bottom. Right now, I happen to be playing with sound, so I've got sound pinned down there temporarily. I've got there are various things called cinnamon spices, which are endemic to the Cinnamon desktop, and there are applets. There are things called desklets that can sit on your desktop, and some of these things down here, for example, this is Pulse Audio, and it has a volume control, which will show me what I'm doing. It's a very much more direct way of getting at the individual devices, and it's how I can control my configuration for sound. So there are these kinds of things that can be pinned. And we'll just push that down again. The updater, I'm not going to run it, but it's an all-in-one updater, very much like Ubuntu uses, like Ubuntu Unity uses. We also do have, in our edition, the same software center, or it looks the same. It's the same. This would be the software manager I just showed you. Software sources looks visually a bit different. I can also call up the Synaptic Package Manager, which I installed. It's not native to Mint. And there's something called software, which is the familiar software. And you can do updates from here. You can see your installed applications, which would include all kinds of applications. There are no snaps in Mint. There are Flatpak you have to install, but you can run it. And in Mint Debian, that is also true. You can install Flatpak. The only thing you can't do is use PPAs. To draw anything in from an outside source, you pretty much have to go to source and build, import and build. That, for me, was an interesting learning experience. I am going to stop sharing the desktop and ask if anybody wants to. Okay, are we back to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone want to, at this point, ask something or say something about this desktop? Dick?
You got your mic on?
Yes, I
Good. All these chills. We're confused here. I'm very interested in whether it can load Photox. Have you tried that yet?
This is where I ran into having to compile something from source.
Oh.
The problem is, again, media codecs and media components. In Ubuntu, they have the canonical branded components, which are perfectly good. They don't contain any advertisement or anything. They're not proprietary, but they are unique to, they are endemic to Ubuntu. And so regular Mint will have them. But in Mint Debian, sometimes you have to import, sometimes you have to use what's called CMake, and it's a simple command line way of building from source. But otherwise, you may be referring to that weird install method that Mike Cornelis has resorted to, where he's got older components that you install through running a script, and that works. Although from Synaptic, I added in, I believe it was from Synaptic, I added in some of the libraries, which would include Canberra and Champlain. No, Champlain was the one I had to build. Champlain is not native to Debian.
I'm almost remembering. Sorry.
So, okay. Anything else?
I'll just fill in on my question. I've been talking with Mike Cornelison, who's been talking with Ubuntu, trying to figure out how to make a snap for it. They're all very uncomfortable about it. Mike says he thinks snaps just aren't worth supporting at this point in the obstacle, and Ubuntu wasn't able to solve the problem easily. He thinks about everything else is working, and I certainly think he's competent in general. So a different angle, and I'm interested in what isn't forcing beginning users to lean on snaps that Photox can't lean on. I wouldn't wish them on a beginner.
Yeah, Dick, what I think may be happening with Snap, I don't know whether Mike is one of the ones having difficulty, but many developers don't like two things about it. First, almost no other distro than Ubuntu uses snaps natively, and it's a pain in the butt to try to get snaps into Fedora, for example, and to get them working properly. As you and Jill have noticed, if you use a snap version, I believe it was Thunderbird you ended up with, you couldn't move your data around to your user data partition very easily. You couldn't redirect.
Actually, Firefox.
Firefox, I'm sorry. The Firefox snap does not easily allow redirecting data to other locations outside of the snap the snap by containers.
What do you mean by
Flat-
other locations?
What?
What do you mean by other locations?
No, we can't open, for instance, a HTML file that's on user data using Firefox. We have to move it down to home somewhere. And the same thing happens with the default media player in Ubuntu.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
We're getting a little feedback, but anyway, with regard to these containerized and self-contained apps, maybe a better idea might be to try Flatpak because it's easier to deal with in these regards. And maybe Mike might consider Flatpak. You can install Flatpak on Ubuntu. Canonical's not fond of it, but they aren't banning it at this moment.
I filed that suggestion with him. Haven't heard back yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Parallel gutters.
Yeah. But I think some of the issues that he complains about, I don't know exactly what they actually are, might be a little less of an issue with Flatpak. Also the way he's got it packaged now is perfectly usable in other distros, although some of the media dependencies might have to be imported in ways that are a little inconvenient. So, he used to package it as an app image. I don't know why he decided that was not good.
What?
App image?
App image.
Do you remember?
I think Ubuntu doesn't. I'm not quite sure. I think it was because of Ubuntu, but I'm not sure.
I think he may be putting it together with that as one option. But he hasn't expressed any problems with it that I've heard.
Okay, there was one thing from Bill Ricker about perhaps using picture-in-picture PIP with Chromium for something. I'm not sure exactly what that reference is.
I think that relates to his presentation about PI, picture-in-picture.
Oh,
Well, not exactly. The last month, Jill asked about picture-in-picture. I think it was Bob spoke up and told her that at least with Jitsi and Chromium, he could do it clicking on the top line group icon, and that isn't what works in Firefox. So he should demonstrate what works for him, and I can demonstrate what works for me, and I can also demonstrate.
Oh, I know what you mean. I know
speaker side.
Okay, this
I
is
can also
something.
demonstrate speaker side, which is a different thing. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I think that was when we were talking about pin. How you pin somebody.
Pinning is
yeah, we have pin
pinning
to
is
stage.
sort of different, but
I'm in Chromium now, under Mint Debian, and there is an option to take your image and pin to stage. Otherwise, let's see what else.
that's what you want to do with the. That's what you want to do with the presentation. But if you want a talking head in the corner, you'd said click on the group next between the NatickFOSS, the timer, and the warning.
Yeah, I would have to review exactly what I was accomplishing, and I would have to look at it under Ubuntu. And I'm about to head over to the computer where I'm doing Ubuntu because I want to show something. And then after that, I think I should relinquish everything back to the agenda so we can move the meeting along. Right now, I am going to mute my video here, and I'm going to go over to the other computer. and unmute my video. Okay, so I'm over here now. And here is, let me go to start screen sharing. And I'm going to have to use the entire screen, I think. Okay, now what I'm going to do is try to minimize you guys without losing you. I think we're all right. Here's one of the reasons that I stopped using Ubuntu. This is the software updater over here. I think you can see my pointer. Can everybody see my pointer okay?
I can, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I keep
Yes,
getting
yes.
these listings. Okay, thank you, Bill. I keep getting these Ubuntu Pro security updates are available. And it used to be, before I made a change that was suggested by Canonical, you would get a whole listing of different updates that could be available if only you would upgrade and sign up for a free. Go to apt update. I would get the normal apt update stuff, and some things are upgradable. But if I went to upgrade, I would have a whole section up here above the the held back packages. I would have a whole section listing many, many upgradable items. And oh, by the way, you'd need Ubuntu Pro to get them. And again, I'm getting a little feedback. Okay. So there are well-documented ways of getting the ads out of the command line, and I don't think I need to go over all those again. People know what they are. But to get this ad out of here, I found a clever little trick online that does not do any harm, but it's a little bit on the unorthodox side. And that is, let me see, you go into your file explorer. You open it as root, and you go to an area in var lib Ubuntu Advantage. So let's follow the lead. This is var. This is lib. And there is one called Ubuntu Advantage, which you scroll to get to. And then there is apt ESM. Anything that says ESM probably has something to do with what are called the ESM extended security something updates, which is Ubuntu Pro. And you go into the apt ESM, into its etc., apt sources. Now the apt sources is where it will tell apt where to draw these additional updates from. And you have just simply a list. And if I open this list, right now, it's got a couple of open items. And it's got, this is always commented out because I am not subscribed. There may be other reasons why. But I'm going to do something right now. I'm going to comment this out. Just these two lines. It's perfectly harmless to the system, and save. I'm saving as root. And let's go over to my updater. Get everybody over to the side. And I am going to close the updater and open it again. And it will run. Let me grab it up to the corner. See, now all I get is a little two-liner that says, you could have Pro. I can live with that. That's okay. So I'm going to stop sharing over here. And I'm going to see if I can get back to the browser here so that I can mute my audio, my video here, and go back to normal. Go back to Linux Mint Debian, where I have been. Any questions or comments about all of that?
Yes, thank you. That's a lifesaver. We have several non-computery type clients who have been going crazy with that, and I'm very happy that there's a relatively easy solution. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
One other thing. In the command line, we all know that there is a command that stops the generalized advertising for Ubuntu Pro. And that's something that is sanctioned and offered by Canonical. So that's perfectly legit to do.
Okay.
You have a link for how to do that.
I will dig it up because I know there's lots of places to find it.
Thank you.
That was a superior demonstration. Thank you, Bob. Okay, let me get my
Okay, thank you, Bob.
sharing of the window of our agenda available. And do we want now to go to Bill Recker for a picture-in-picture with Firefox? Is that now what you're telling me this link should be saying, or this item should be saying, Bill?
I can show what I found. I can't show what Bob found last month, and apparently he can't either. But oh, sure.
Okay, I'll stop sharing and let you take over. How's that?
Okay. Now, I have shared my screen into my face as opposed to using Jitsy's share window button. So you'll need to click on my face to center it. And you'll notice I'm in full Adams mode here. I'm using this OBS Studio program to overlay myself into the corner. And I'm going to minimize that so that there's just a few of me. Now, if I go to Jitsi, what Bob said last month to Jill about Chromium, and I'm not in Chromium, so I won't see it, is if you click here on the little group icon, there's a picture-in-picture up in here, and I'm not seeing it. And that's okay, because go over here, there's a picture-in-picture right checkbox where I can pull up a new floating window of Bob picture, which of course goes infinite regress. This is the viewer controlling and figuring out where to put it on their screen. Whereas what I'm doing, and I'm facing myself because it's mirroring so that I don't get confused, because I'm used to looking at mirror and I can't, I'm not sure what that, but it's convenient. So these are the two techniques I'm aware of. One for viewer side, click on the speaker's picture to picture-in-picture them, either with this icon or clicking, or the way I'm doing it if I was sharing a specific window, it wouldn't look near as silly. And why am I getting a phone call? This is, yeah, likely. Don't need that one. I shared a single screen instead. Where'd it go? Wrong desktop. I find the window I want to share here. Too long a list. Oh, good. Now it's no longer. Now it's no longer infinite regress because I shared a normal window instead of my whole desktop. So that's mixing them together on my side. That's what I had. I'm going to go back to normal.
Okay. I think that was very interesting, although I'm not sure I got the full picture of how you accomplished all of that. It sounds like Firefox has a feature that I'm not aware of, at least. And is it an add-on or?
No, no, only the first part where I popped up Bob was the Jitsi and Firefox feature. The second thing where I was sticking myself in, injecting myself and a screen into a virtual camera in Jitsi was Open Broadcast Studio. OBS.
So it's extra software.
It's extra software which makes my fairly decent desktop run slow and wish I had a heftier Intel processor.
Okay. Thank you. Looks like we are making progress on this kind of meeting software, but not everybody has all the tools available. Jitsi is doing a reasonable job for us. Perhaps it will continue to grow and add some of these open studio kinds of additions to make it a little more powerful for us.
Algot,
Yes.
one thing we're waiting
And
for.
if you need even more power, StreamYard.
Bill, you want to repeat that again?
Go ahead. What's the one thing we're waiting for?
Okay. What we are waiting for, at least in Ubuntu, is better implementation of Pipewire and Wayland, because that's where this OBS Studio really shines. One other thing, what I did find this month, it says pin to stage under the 3 dots, and that's how you get somebody's picture nice and large, and over where the screen share would normally be.
Yeah, and that's different from getting them in the corner. But being able to click them out of the folks on the side when you've got the shared desktop on main stage, and being able to pop them up on the side, which might work in your Chromium also, I don't know, is nice to get more than just a little thumbnail in the Rogues Gallery on the side. For more glitz than what Jitsi or even OBS can give us, because OBS, I can only control my screens and my cameras. StreamYard lets the moderator control who's doing what, and their free level, you get their watermark on your broadcast as opposed to your trademark watermark on your broadcast, which is a pretty reasonable trade-off for paying them a big zero. That would be useful if you wanted just the people who are presenting to be in the Jitsi-like thing, and then everybody else is consuming on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or 3 other services that they can send to simultaneously. Our little community is small enough we all fit in the Jitsi, and we don't need that level of control, but it does have better control if the person who's doing the stream to YouTube crashes out. The YouTube doesn't fail because they're connecting to YouTube for you. So it's got its advantages. I'm not recommending it to us, but
Okay.
Before we move on, one other thing that I did put in chat is the command line method for controlling the Ubuntu Advantage or Ubuntu Pro ads, and that contains an article reference.
I'll see what I can do.
Somebody remind me where to save how to save the chat.
I'm just doing a copy paste myself.
Something that I need to remember to do at the end of the meeting, each meeting, is to do a copy and paste of the whole chat, which is how I've done it in the past too. I don't think there's a separate save chat option at the moment in Jitsi.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I'll get us back. We've learned some interesting things. Hello, Gloria. Welcome.
Hi.
Just a comment. This is not to Bill Ricker per se, but I think you're using a Bluetooth headphone. Is that correct, Bill?
yes, I am.
I have a feeling that that Bluetooth headphone is introducing the stuttering sound that we got from much of your conversation. I'm personally using a headphone, but it's a wired one. And I'm
If
not.
I had to take a guess, I think his machine was overloaded from running OBS.
Thank you, Dennis. I think that's a possibility too.
Distinct possibility. I'm using the Bluetooth because I got reports of ground loop interference the last time I was using a wired headphone.
Well,
So
you
go
sound
figure.
great right now. Okay. These technical things are always parts of these virtual meetings. And while we're very flexible about dealing with them, over time, I hope we can find all the answers that we need to make everybody's consumption of our great, quote, content, a term I really don't like that is used all over YouTube. But thank you all so far for your participation. And here we go. Back to the chat, back to the
Agenda.
agenda. I just closed the chat temporarily talking about it. All right. I see that we have gotten through most of hot software at 4 o'clock, and we may not make the whole way through the whole agenda, but that's okay too. There's so much to talk about some months, and February is such a short month, we'll get to it in March if we don't make it today. Okay. This Pipewire camera support coming to OBS Studio for Linux desktops. I don't know. I think that was probably Ed who brought that up. Is that correct?
Yeah, I added that one because I know we were talking about OBS Studio last month.
Okay. I didn't get a chance to.
That's what I just showed. That's what I just showed. I showed the OBS piece because we were talking about it, and he started talking about Pipewire to support it with the new audio system.
So that's something we might look forward to. And if you have need for those tools, which I haven't yet demonstrated for myself, but please do read this article. I think we'll hold on that because it's a prospective. You're coming to OBS Studio. All right. As noted before the meeting actually started, I did not do a great deal of fancy things with my Raspberry Pi this month, and would like to point you to the video that has been posted now on the BLU server for their presentation of the Raspberry Pi's first look. I have not had the time to look at it even, but I recommend that if you have Raspberry Pi in your future, you might want to look at that. Okay. Lazy use of AI leads to Amazon products called, I cannot fill that request. This is a weird one. These things are normal Amazon requests. This is a product that doesn't look like its description. And apparently there is some kind of hackery going on and or artificial intelligence snafu. Does anybody have more information on this? I was totally confused as I read this article.
What this means is there's somebody with an Amazon store who's trying to use an OpenAI chatbot to create new descriptions of a product, and not automatically, instead of paying people to do it. and not noticing that the chatbot is caught the fact that it's being abused and is refusing to do things and publicly embarrassing them. And note that it says ships from and doesn't say you can have Prime delivery. So it's not an Amazon corporate offer, it's an Amazon partner that's being lazy using AI to generate drop shippable items that have their supplier send it to you with their name on it.
The joys of online ordering. I hope we get this straightened out, as my daughter uses Amazon all the time, and I wouldn't want her to order from one of those stores at all.
Well, it's very easy with that headline.
Okay. One thing is here, 100-year guarantee from this particularly interesting company named Posthaven that says if you post your blog through them, they will guarantee that 100 years from now, it'll still be there. I suppose that is worth something for those who want to outlive their writings and aren't affording the niceties of being a published book kind of item through a traditional publisher. But you can get up to 10 blogs for $5 a month. I suppose you have to pay up ahead to actually guarantee the longevity of them, but there you are.
I have a question. How much will that cost if you keep it up there forever?
I think it's only for 100 years that they guarantee it. I don't know how they're guaranteeing that. I read that.
I'd like to see their audited financial plan.
Yep.
I'd like to see whether it's based on fact or if it's faith-based.
I doubt it can be fact-based.
I guess if you don't like it, you can always sue.
Must be like, was it AT&T and the 10, come on, you just told me, Dick.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
The connection, the internet connection, 10 what? What do they call
Oh,
it?
it's the 10G from Comcast.
Comcast.
They are actually, there's an article in this list somewhere that says they have been sanctioned and have agreed to remove that from their advertising because
They came back and appealed. So it said they lost the appeal, and I said they kind of lost its appeal to me too.
Nice wordplay, Dick. Nice wordplay. Okay, I need to be there. Oh yeah, this is it. This next item. This is intriguing because it represents a non-court settlement achieved through a lobby group of the advertising industry. And it is the advertising industry that's handling it. It's not going out to courts or being public. Verizon and T-Mobile are competitors of Comcast, and Comcast advertising of their 10G service made it seem that they were offering 10 gigabits per second, while your internet connection only offered 256 megabits per second. Of course, also overlapped with the 5G wireless, which is where 5G means something, fifth generation. There is no 10th generation wireless yet, and Verizon and T-Mobile both complained that it was deceptive advertising, and within their advertising organizations, the Comcast people have been shot down twice. Now, they haven't pulled the ads immediately, because I heard that ad repeated today, that they offer a 10G connection. Anyway, I'm glad to see that there is some sanity being reintroduced to the naming of product speeds. Computer security, privacy, and freedom. Yes, question.
Just another comment. I believe in parallel with that Comcast attempt to basically give itself a name that's a lie, and they're getting some feedback. Apparently, Twitter, now X, is attempting to invent and copyright, as it were, an ASCII code for its version of the letter X. It's kind of the same issue going on in a different group of inside people.
Well, if you've got billions of dollars, you can buy pretty much anything, they say.
Yeah, when the logo first came out, it was reported that it's actually the same X as a certain Unicode character.
And that is essentially the same, an extension of the ASCII codes, which were introduced back when only uppercase lettering was available for the terminals and the, what were they called, teletype printers?
Unicode, not only is it Unicode, it looks like the old X Windows logo.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to copyright a J.
There you go. Good luck. Popular YouTuber named Matthias Wandel from Canada had his video account on YouTube hacked. Somebody took it over. And I'm not going to try to show this. It's a video. But if you are interested in the security process, he goes through his timeline of how it happened and how he solved it with help from many people, both other YouTube types, people who use his website on a regular, use his videos on a regular basis, and because of all the connections he has worked up with his excellent product, people from Google got back to him, and within about 6 hours, he got his site back. And it's a fascinating thing, because he's a guy who has 1 million plus followers and produces some very good material. As far as I'm concerned, he's an engineer, woodworker, and it's a fascinating story. It's not too long. You might want to watch it as you have a chance. And then we have all the other great stuff here about OpenAI and other impossible training. If you don't have copyrighted materials available to us, we can't function. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Read that. It's worth it. Software engineer profession is under threat from AI and intense competition. I think this was Ed's. Is that correct?
Yeah, I added that.
Anything particular you wanted to say, or just let people read it?
Pretty much what I added here is, just to let people read it, but I'm not a software engineer.
I'm not sure any of us qualify at this moment.
I'm a
Okay.
software engineer.
Hmm?
I'm a software engineer.
Oh, thank you, Jerry.
I've been one for many years,
All right.
but I am not employed as a software engineer anymore because I'm retired.
There you go. So I'm almost right.
Almost.
Almost. Congratulations on being one, even a retired one. YouTube begins a new wave of slowdown for users with their ad blockers enabled. Has anybody observed this in their own use? I mentioned just last time that I'm not turning off the ads, and I just click away when I can, and it says, you may skip the rest. I do. Anybody noticing their slowdown? Nope. Nobody. Yes.
I rarely watch YouTube on the desktop where ad blocking would be a thing. On the tablet, I don't have an ad blocker. So yeah, it's 5 seconds on the ones that are skippable, and then I'll go make tea if they're running along.
This 10-minute ad will keep you busy. Yes. Making tea. Okay. Read these articles. We don't have direct information about most of them here. Okay. This one I do. Digital poisoning of online art. And I'm going to click on it, but I want to see if the site limit will kick in. This is one of the MIT technology review articles, and my usage of it is limited, but it may come in and say, yeah, the cookie tells me you've read this article before. So, no, it's letting me in. Okay, good. Nope, here it comes. Subscribe and save. Is it going to let me in? Yes. In any case, there's a tool that has been developed called Nightshade, which is intended to poison images so that an artist's work will be misconstrued, and when used as the basis for new generative art, will come up with all sorts of odd results that don't look like the thing you claim that the AI is producing. It is combined with a similar tool called Glaze in order to mask the work. This picture is intended to illustrate the problem. Looking here at the clean model, the original, the hat becomes a little bit with 50 samples included in the generative AI source. When is 100 different poisoned items, it gets even worse. And even more, it looks like a cake at the end after 300 poisoned samples. Not much of a sampling is necessary to poison the whole AI. In other words, you don't need thousands of poisoned images. So if it's looking for a handbag, it might wind up with a toaster after just a small amount of poisoning. So
I like the dog turning to cat and the car turning to cow.
it's an intriguing concept, and I wonder if similar things can be done to make AI of words more obvious. I'm a little nervous that this kind of technology is merely going to poison the sampling so that the output becomes ridiculously unreliable, and companies who have cut all their workers won't hire new ones. They'll just let the garbage be produced and not worry about it. And that is the one thing about this that makes me nervous. I like the idea of making sure artists get paid for their work and not just copied and duplicated with a slight change of a wart on the nose or something like that. But is there a downside to this, that we will rely on the AI generated material even though it's been poisoned? And maybe this is happening already in the digital world in which we live. Did anybody have reactions and or examples of this?
I have a thought.
Yes.
That was your only worry. But AI has a way of playing ping pong with what it's fed. And as this escalates, it could be really exciting and bad news.
Oh, yes. It is a thing that we are just being forced to come to grips with. And I don't think humanity is ready for it, in the sense of fully coming to grips with what's real and what's not real. We already have the imagery of Taylor Swift, I've heard, that has been completely artificially produced, having her do things that she would not or claim she has not done. And it looks real from what I've heard. And
Yeah.
I would hate to be a popular celebrity, because boy, you're in trouble if you're a
Yeah.
celebrity and you want to be the person you think you are.
Another thing, if you're watching some YouTubes, a lot of times the narration is produced by AI.
I've heard that, yes. I notice sometimes in the ads particularly that what looks like a very interesting product sounds like it's being described in English from an AI generated voice that was translated from whatever language the product was created in, perhaps Chinese, Taiwanese, or even from Vietnam, I guess. And while I understand the English, it's very stilted at this point.
Yeah, some like, if you look at like 20 of the best something or other else's, or actors that are no longer with us or something else,
Mm-hmm.
that's generated AI voice. And sometimes their pronunciation gets really weird.
We are here and now faced with a world that people my age are not understanding. I know some of you are older, some of you are younger, and out there, people listening to our broadcast are of all sorts of ages. But I'm not sure we're ready for this. I don't feel that I am entirely. So I'm a little nervous. I know we can't just put the brakes on. It's a cat that's out of the bag. The horse is out of the barn. And all that kind of aphorism. Okay. I don't know. This I think is Ed's as well. The Patreon saying that sharing user video data is unconstitutional. That yours, Ed?
Yeah, I added that one as well.
Is that a to be read kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Ads, push notifications are being used to create billions of phone surveillance profiles. That sounds like one you put in there too. A to be read?
Yes.
All right. And we finally get to the official section of our AI and large language model part of the agenda. And I thought this particular blog post might be of interest to people because it isn't a guy who is technology oriented. This is a person who sells woodworking tools in New York City. He's concerned that the various kinds of skilled handwork that went into all the old woodworking products that people with tools he sells made for themselves and for others were over the years made simpler and simpler and simpler so that they were easier to produce. So a cabinet maker of old might have used several tools over a week or more to build a cabinet for a customer. Those things are now mass produced and sold through places like IKEA and easily put together and knocked down and moved from apartment to apartment to apartment rather than being left behind for heirs to inherit. His look at the issue is an intriguing perspective, I think, as opposed to simply being, oh, AI good or oh, AI bad. He's looking at it from the history of woodworking and craftspeople, as opposed to copyright of authorship or painters and their duplicates of Mona Lisa, for example. So I recommend that you read this blog post and or also read some of his other things if you're interested in woodworking and woodworking tools. And believe it or not, it's only 4:23 here. I think we are near the end. And this last questions and answers item, as far as what's in the agenda, open source sustainability is talking about who pays for what. And this is one of my favorite cartoons from the XKCD reference library. Every single bit of infrastructure in the world seems to be potentially at risk because of some guy, some person has been maintaining this little tiny piece. And what happens when they no longer do their job? Somebody else have to take it over? Any comments?
I had one earlier. The White House is helping out.
We hope they see this as a significant comment. These XKCD cartoons are sometimes very accurate in what they portray. This is a very long article, so I hope those interested in how to sustain and how to actually make open source software work for the long term will read it and will think about it. There's no solution offered here, just a very thorough and careful analysis from one person's point of view. And I think we all need to think about it. Which brings me back to that earlier comment about the 14th. I Love Software Freedom Day is a European initiative of the Free Software Foundation of Europe, which is similar to the Free Software Foundation here in the United States, housed in Boston. They have a slightly different point of view, being European, and they celebrate this day. I don't know that we have the same day here in the United States, but I don't see any reason why we can't offer a celebration up as well. Now, there was a wait a minute. I missed something earlier before we get to this. Dick, I'm sorry. I passed right over your, where is it?
Second one in software.
Second one in software.
Making custom wallpaper.
There it is. It's just not a link, so I wasn't seeing it. There we go. Dick, I apologize. We certainly have the time for you to do a superb job of demoing the making of some custom wallpaper.
Well,
if you are ready.
This may be fun for a lot of people. I use certain tools to do it, but FOSS offers a lot of tools for doing the same work. And I wanted a different new kind of wallpaper to show. Sometimes when we have a computer out, it's standing there waiting for a demo and could advertise our company. And I think I got it. While I was doing it, I had so much fun with some of the parts that were a little different a trip than I'm used to, that I thought maybe half of everyone out there would like to try the same thing, not to make a better wallpaper for our company, but for our FOSS user group, NatickFOSS.org. What would really good wallpaper look like? Well, the more people that try, the more depth you'll have on what the answer could be. So I thought a contest, maybe next month, some of you will come back with NatickFOSS.org wallpaper based on what I'm going to do now. And you don't even have to use the same tools, but I think if it's for NatickFOSS, you've got to use FOSS tools, right? So I'll pick mine and I'll do it. Somewhere I saw a mention that I was going to be using Chromium. I'm not. I'm going to be using Firefox, which I usually use. If I had to use Chrome, I would certainly use Chromium instead, but I find Firefox is very suitable for what we do. So I would start right there, and I have two choices. Either I can be an artist, and that gives you two choices also. One choice is you can be a talented artist. And the other one is you can use tools to be an artist also. Some of my past experiments, I've made the backdrop with chaos. which makes very nice fractals. And some kinds of fractals you might not think are fractals, not just the Mandelbrot standard type. So you don't have to be an artist to draw art. You have something that came way before AI that can help you to do that. But the other way is to go out and borrow someone else's art. And that's what I chose to do. So here I am in Firefox, happen to be on our home webpage.
Dick, you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, picky. I'll let you set up for that because you
Okay.
took me around a corner or two there. Almost there.
Let's see. Start screen sharing. Hello? Shouldn't it pop up something up here?
Do you have to click on my box there?
Shouldn't.
Okay.
Okay. Why is his screen sharing window not popping up? Let's see if it came up behind somewhere. Nope. Ah. You want me to try to do it on my computer?
You don't have the files, but I'll fake it. Oh, I can always hold mine up to yours for the final part.
My screen sharing isn't coming up either.
No.
Oh, there it is. It took a long time. Wait a minute. Select window or screen. So it's going to be Firefox. Allow. And I'll make a new one. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, why did it come up again?
I see you now.
Yes, but I seem to have
Started
a bazillion of them.
Well, if you go to one of them, you have to try using it.
Okay. Wait a minute. Is this it?
Might be.
Let me click on something, Miller Micro or something. No, not that one. Okay.
Are they seeing that?
It says you are sharing Firefox, but it doesn't show me that window.
I see your Firefox.
Yes, but I've got several Firefox windows, none of which are.
Yeah, you're showing
That
me
one.
Ancestry Firefox with a new panel. May not have been the one you wanted.
No.
I'm probably the only
Sure.
one here.
Joe is lost in a maze of twisty little passages.
I had the same problem finding the window to share earlier, so I sympathize.
Okay, I'm going to start again with a new Firefox window.
Did you close the old ones?
Okay, there's my new Firefox window. Now,
It's not online yet.
right, now I go to the share thing on Jitsi and wait because it's taking a long time to come up. Okay, and select window or screen, and it's going to be. Oh, I've got two that say the same thing.
I thought you were closing all of them.
No, I can't.
So go back to my computer.
Maybe.
stereo computers aren't as good as they're cracked up to be.
Wait a minute, I've got the right one. There we go.
Hey!
Oh, okay.
What?
Yep, there we go.
Okay, sports fans. So the first thing I wanted to do was to go and steal somebody's artwork for the background, which sounded easy enough. I anteed it up one bit by saying I have to steal it legally. And there's a bunch of good places for that. I'd like to steal it legally at no cost. It's getting a little narrower. We're down now to maybe 100,000 photos or so. Maybe more, we'll see. So what I did is I started by going to one of two places I know about and have some capability of navigating. One of them is spelled just a little different from pixel. It's Pexel, Pexel, Pexel. And that's one. The other one is Unsplash. If you made a splash and wish you hadn't, we now have Unsplash, I guess. Oh, where am I? And look, free images. Look, wallpaper, all kinds of things in there. And I don't have no idea where I touched to get there, but let's go start with free images. And then bloop. Everything's going slow now. Maybe they are slowing me down for using a web blocker.
Well, my memory is nearly full.
Oh, and I rebooted on purpose on my computer. Okay. So as you might guess, they have a few choices here. And, oh, 1 million free images? I underestimate. And that's going to be a problem. I'll go to wallpapers to start. Now, you think that means they'd all be horizontal, but you're wrong. And
Well, not everybody could.
people submit these hoping they'll just get a credit byline, which is fine. Oh, these look like wallpapers. Not what I thought I was going to hit. Came up different today. And these are, I think, a little too blossom. Oh, they're just coming in slowly. Okay. They were too blah for my taste, but you might do something wonderful with one. And now they're coming in a little too fancy and different directions than I would like. I must have hit one of them. I'll try to get back to where I came from. Good. And of course, I could put more on the screen at once if I want. Like so. Very slow response. I should be seeing more. But maybe I won't, who knows. Anyway, as we page down, I can see some that are much simpler. These are just filling in slowly. They were not doing that for me, so our Mac connection is slowing it down considerably. Now, look, for example, at the one in the middle. I could picture that as being useful because once, come on, boys, you do this. Firefox is taking its revenge. Now, you could make that full screen, and then you could crop it a bit so there's only a little bit of the bright at the top, plenty of the black at the bottom. That'd make kind of an interesting frame for something talking about what you want to talk about. Joe?
Did we just lose Dick and Jill's audio?
I think so.
I don't think I'm hearing either Dick or Jill, and I'm currently seeing Jill's screen, but I don't see that Dick has been muted.
They're climbing the mountain.
Oh. Well, we are having technical difficulties for those watching from afar. Those of us participating are quite aware of the technical difficulties that we are having. We apologize for those who are watching this on YouTube. I am trying simply to be a filler voice. Seems to be the job of the moment. I can see Dick's face moving, and I'm not hearing a sound from him. Jill's screen is still being shared. So perhaps Jill can unshare that. I wonder if... Ooh. Jill's. I do not see any way to kick Jill's screen without kicking Jill out, and that's not what I want to do. If you can hear me, Jill, can you unshare your screen? You can hear me? Okay, try unsharing your screen. Jerry says Ubuntu is mad at us, or at least Dick.
At Dick.
I'm surprised Ubuntu didn't try to take revenge on me for what I was saying.
It'll get around to you, Bob.
I'm sure it will.
No, it's been getting at me for the last 6 weeks. Oh, and then the new LTS version. That'll get me.
Oh, yes. Okay. We are attempting, or at least Dick is attempting to get back in play. His computer is on. He's going to reboot, apparently. Thank you. There he goes. His image has disappeared from my screen. I'm going to ask a technical question of the rest of you. I am currently looking at the group tile view. When we watch the videos, what view do you typically see? The person presenting as the speaker, as I am now? I'm highlighted on my tile view, but would my image be what the video is recording? This might be a question for Dennis.
It's probably going to be the tile view. When you share
I'll
your
go with
screen, it'll be the screen you share usually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
I
Well,
think Dick and Jill had a fight. They broke their computers.
I think they may have. He's rebooting, and it's a 14-year-old computer, so it's taking 2 hours to reboot, maybe. There he is. Do we hear him? No sound. And he does not appear to be mute with a good connection. He's gone mute.
Yeah, I'm actually scrolling through that site that they had. There's some really nice images on it.
Oh dear. I see that the image, now it shows that he's not muted and I'm not hearing Jill. I think their audio is disconnected somehow at the system level. Jitsi seems to feel that they are talking. Now it shows mute to me from Dick's computer. I guess today's meeting is an exercise in being able to read lips. We're testing some accessibility skills. It would appear that as as moderator, do I have any features here? Dick Miller. Speaker stats. To unmute. No, I do not see how to get past his mute at the moment.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
I did something. I did something technical there. I
Okay.
hit the ask. I was seeing ask to unmute as an option on his 3 dot in the blue, and that's not there now. I have mute now where I could mute him.
I tried that about 30 seconds ago and it did nothing. So you have special skills, Bob.
Or else it's a coincidence. On with the demo.
Actually, it was the system setting was muted.
I had several things set to mute that weren't set to mute a little earlier.
Ooh.
Don't know. I claim I didn't do it, but gremlins have been here today. As you see, we have witnesses. I suppose this will be a great demo for March.
I do know of some pulse audio issues, which I won't go into, but I've had that happen.
I still have a pulse. I shouldn't have said that.
You have a pulse, you have audio, let's go on.
Okay. Thank you, Dick and Jill, for your valiant attempts. And I agree, to give you a chance to recoup your relaxation, deep breathing, let's postpone your demo till March.
And I expect you to be running around full speed by then also.
Oh, maybe. My full speed these days is far different from what it once was.
Oh, I do have a FOSS demo. And there it is.
That's
Have
an
a good
Ubuntu
month.
demo.
That's it.
And I owe you some links that I'll send along.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. We're 6 minutes early for our 5 o'clock meeting end deadline. Does anybody have last minute thoughts on the question of the 14th?
February 14th, isn't that Valentine's Day?
And
It
I love
is.
Linux Day.
It's also I Love Linux Day in Europe, at least. Do we want to import that here? And does anybody have a specific set of actions that we want to take?
Sort of depends on what people's spouses think of spending Valentine's Day with Linux.
Or
we have software.
Or having them say, I love Linux instead of I love you.
And we have Software Freedom Day here.
Yes.
So I don't know if we need another one.
I wouldn't be averse either way. I just wanted to make sure we didn't ignore the question. Okay. I thank you all for your excellent attempts and actual successes participating in this meeting for February. I will remind everybody that March has a meeting and that it is the 7th, I believe. Anybody confirm that quickly in their minds? Yes, I see that.
7th, correct.
Eighth.
Correct.
No, 7th.
Were you looking at March?
Yes.
You're looking at February. That's
7th, Dick, is
Yep,
down here after the 29th.
That's because this year we have a 29th. This is a leap year. So we don't get to repeat our first between February and March, which is often the case. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you all in a little over 1 month's time. Tally ho.
Just one more thing, Elgott.
Yes.
About that other thing that we were discussing about those stupid messages.
Yes.
Jabber deleted Ruby from the system by just removing it from the /op directory rather than using RPM or DNF or yum.
Okay. Is it involved in my upload process somehow?
There's nothing to do with you.
That was just a random message.
It's just stupid messages that affects most of the users.
Okay.
And all we have to do is just remove a couple of files in the profile.
I was worried that I had done something of damage to the system there.
No.
Last thing I wanted.
It's already fixed.
Excellent.
It wasn't you, Elgott.
It's all right. I'm prepared to allow myself big failures these days.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Jerry, for checking on that so quickly.
You're not going to crash our computer.
Would be the last thing I'd want.
Yeah. It's older than you.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all, and I'll see you in March. If not,
See you in March.
Maybe Jerry got it from the MIT hydraulics lab.
Okay.
Well, I certainly am glad that things worked from my end,
Okay.
given how recently I built things up. So, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay.